In this video, I'm going to address the oh so familiar problem of what do I need to get an A in this class on the final exam. So looking at the average when you haven't taken the final yet. But the first thing that we're going to notice is that, and this is my class, that in the grades column, there's all this different stuff, and there's different reasons for this. Some of the grades come one way, some of them come a different way. We need to get them all so that they're the same format. And the format that is the most useful usually is either points or percentages, but since they're in different formats, we're going to go ahead and do this as percentage points. So we're going to put these all as they are, and you'll need to look carefully in the grade center to see what they are. And I'm going to put all the points that they're out of in this column, and then we're going to proceed from there. So now that I've entered all of the points these were out of, we should probably go ahead and convert them over to a grade as a percent. Even though for a couple of these it's going to be kind of silly, but they're all different, so it's nice to just have them all in the same format. So let's go ahead and do that. For converting 4/5 to a percent, you could just do 4 divided by 5 on your calculator, but I also want to show you this cool little trick that I like to do, which is turning it into a percent by multiplying to make the denominator into 100. So if you do that, you get 80 out of 100, or 80%, which we can plug right in for that first grade. Now that you've got the 80 plugged in, we can go ahead and work on the 45 out of 50. Some of you can see it right away what the percentage will be, but I'm going to show you on paper again. For this one, you can go ahead and do 45 divided by 50 on your calculator, or you can do what you need to make the denominator equal to 100, and you'll get 90/100ths, or 90%, cent as in 100. Let's plug that in. All right, the 90 is plugged in. 5 out of 5, I think we can all do without a calculator, 100%. And then the next one we need to look at closely, and you'll need to read your syllabus. This particular syllabus is for a summer term that's 5 weeks long. So there were 5 discussion boards. Here are your different grades. It does say 5 points each. You can drop one, so we can go ahead and drop that one. Now that that one's dropped, to find our weekly discussion board grade, it's 20%. There's a couple different ways that you can look at this. You can look at it as there were 20 points that you needed altogether on your syllabus, or you can find the average of them, and either way it'll look the same. So I tried to make it easy. 20%, 20 points you needed to get, and out of those 20 points you got 10 plus 8, so you got 18 out of 20 points that you could get there. For the discussion board, you got the 18 out of 20 points. You can multiply these each by 5, or you can do 18 divided by 20 on your calculator, and either way you'll get 90%. Another way to look at it is, other than this, is to do your average of your discussion board posts. You got half 4s and half 5s. There were 4 of them. That averages out to a 4.5 out of 5, and 4.5 out of 5 is 9 out of 10 is 90 out of 100. So any way you want to look at that to turn it into a percent is fine. And now we'll go ahead and just put the rest of the percentages down in here. The last 3 come straight away as percentages, so that'll be pretty straightforward. Just enter them. And now we have all of our current pieces of our grades recorded in this nice little table that helps you calculate your weighted mean. If you watched the weighted means video number 1, you know that for here, for the weighting options, to make everything have less steps basically, it's good to make these into decimals and then multiply them by these to get your individual weighted piece. So out of the 5 percentage points you could have gotten, how many did you get? Now for that one, it's really silly because if you got 4 out of 5 percentage points, you got 4 points. But it's still, I like the consistency of having them all be this way. So we're going to do the same calculations here that we did in the previous video. There's just more of them because there's more parts to your grade, and we're not going to be able to get all the way to the end because we haven't taken the final yet. So let's start doing those calculations. So now I've grayed out the original grades and kept just the percentage form of those grades, and I've highlighted the decimal form of the weighting of those grades so that when we multiply, we know exactly what we're multiplying. We're doing the 0.05 times 80, which is a little bit silly because it's 4 out of 5 points and it's 5%, so it's really just a 4. Like there's not really that much going on there. And then if you do the 0.05 times the 90 or the 45 out of 50, it's 5%, so that's the same as 4.5 out of the 5%. So you got 4.5 out of those 5%. For this one, you got 4 out of the 5% for this one. And then down here, 5 out of 5, 100% of times 0.05 is just going to give you the 5 because you got all of it. So that's good. And then down here, you can do the 0.20 times the 90, and that'll tell you how many of those 20 percentage points of your total grade you got. You got 90% of those 20 percentage points. So that gives you 18 points towards your final grade out of the 20 points you could have gotten towards your final grade from that. Next, let's look at 15% of your grade coming from that 87%, so 0.15 times 87, and we put in the 13.05. Go ahead and pause the video and do these two pieces like you did on the previous video, and then we'll talk about what's next. So let's look at what we have so far all together for our grade. These are the the pieces of our grade that we have so far. Add them all up and you've got a 76.3. But it's a 76.3 out of what? Like it's not a 76.3 overall for your entire grade because you haven't taken the final yet. You've done all but 15% of your grade, so it's a 76.3 out of the 85% of your grade that you've already got. So you're going into the final exam. You could just take the 76.3, divide by the 85 to find your current average, which is this crazy long decimal that I don't even feel like typing the whole thing in there, but it's a 0.897647059, blah, blah, blah. So an 89.76-ish%. So you're going in there pretty close to a 90 if the cutoff for your grade is a 90. But what do you need to get on the final to get an A? Let's look at this. I'm going to look at this on paper. So let's get out a piece of paper, and you probably already have a piece of paper, I hope, because you're taking notes, and calculate this. Okay, so you're going into the final exam with an 89.76%, and you've got 76.3 out of the 85 points that you could have gotten. But the total grade is going to be out of 100 points, and you've got 15 more points you can get. So you need to get from that 76.3 to a 90. So how many of the percentage points do you need to get to that 90? So you want to get to a 90. You've already got 76.3. You need to subtract. So 7 borrow. So you need a 13.7. You need 13.7 out of the 15 percentage points remaining. So the grade that you'd need to get, you need to divide those. And I just went ahead and divided them. And it says that you need a 91.3 repeating on your final exam to get your A. You're almost there. If you just get a little bit over a 90, a 91.3 repeating, or a 92 or whatever, then you can get your A. I think I'm going to go ahead and calculate next what you would need to just keep your B. Like how low can you go? Like limbo, how low can you go? So let's look at that next. How low can you go and still get a B? For that, just for some security, let's say that the cutoff for the B is an 80. So you only need, you can probably do that in your head. The 80 minus the 76.3 is 3.7. You only need 3.7 out of 15 points, percentage points. Does that make sense? The 3.7. You only need a little bit more to keep yourself in that B range. Hopefully you can get the A, but at least you can relax a little bit. And 3.7, oh, clear. 3.7 divided by 15, that's really low. Like, yeah, so 24.6, let's just say. So if you get a 25% on the final, then you can keep your B. I know this wasn't terribly organized. I hope to have a printed table to write on, but here it is. Hopefully this makes sense what you need to do to calculate how to know what you need to get on the final to get a different grades. So here it wasn't that stressful to get an A, given that you went in with almost an A for your percentage if the cutoff was 90, and then here to get the B you needed just the 3.7 out of 15 points, which is a almost a 25%, 24.666 repeating percent on the final exam to get a B. So this is what you need for an A, and this is for a B. So your B is pretty safe and your A is within reach. Let's look again at the other document. So I know this wasn't the most organized presentation ever of this, and if I do this again, I'll do it on paper. Or actually what I would like to do is I'll go ahead and hopefully show you later how to do this with an Excel spreadsheet, because that's just so much faster. But for now, hopefully this helps you figure out how to calculate what you need to get on your final exam in various classes, particularly one that has a bunch of different grades that come from different places, so they have different out of values. And there was a lot to this one. When I designed this syllabus, it was easy to see in some ways, but as far as calculating it, it turns out to not be quite as easy for a lot of people. All the stuff in green really is just the points that you would get when you add them up, except for the syllabus quiz because of the way Blackboard made it be. But and then everything coming over from Hawks was percentages, so to figure out that piece, add them up. Hopefully this helped, and it gets you through some of these problems both in this class and others.